Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today, I want to talk about myself. I wanted to talk a little bit about loose skin and weight loss and my journey with that, as well as just kind of share a little bit of information about myself for those of you that might not know much, right? Because there's a lot of newer people here that haven't been around for a very long time. But if you haven't been around for a very long time, I want to take you to my YouTube page. This is my YouTube page, hello. But if we go and click on this most popular video tab, right, we see this video right here, which is titled My Biggest Insecurity, Loose Skin, is the most popular video I've ever made. 10 million views. This video went insanely viral about 11 years ago now at this point, and that video changed my life. And in this video, as you can see, I end up kind of sharing what my body looked like at the time with the loose skin that I had, right? And this video was, it was something that really did change my life. And sharing this at the time, I was a younger guy. I was 22, I believe, maybe 21 at this time. Yeah, I think I was 21 at this time. Sharing this was very scary for me because it was something that not a lot of people did at the time. Not very many people really talked about loose skin. And, since I uploaded that video, I have talked about my loose skin numerous times. And I've been very fortunate that I've had a lot of people actually reach out to me and say that that video really helped them understand, loose skin and help them kind of be aware of something that they would probably be dealing with after they lost a lot of weight. And so, it was a really important video for me to make. And, if you've seen the video, which, I can link it in the description if you haven't seen it, but, I state that, I'm not planning on getting the surgery. I didn't have the surgery or anything like that. And it wasn't in my immediate plans because I truly was, a lot more confident in my skin. And it really was a huge turning point for me in understanding my body and understanding who I was and just accepting who I am as a person. Now, over the years, as I've talked about this, I think I've actually become more confident and more comfortable in my skin, which I think is, relatively normal. I've been very lucky that I haven't, gained a significant amount of weight back and then had to re-lose it. And I really do think that that's helped a little bit, but I've just been able to really understand who I am as a person and the things that make me happy as a person and make me confident. And I've realized that the things that make me confident are not just how my body looks, but it's what I am able to do with my body. And I really do think that having this loose skin has been an incredible learning opportunity for me, but it's also helped me really empathize with other people. And obviously, I even think that being the weight that I was for the time that I was, especially in the time of my life that I was, at my heaviest, through my high school years and right after high school, obviously we all know that you deal with some people that maybe aren't the most savory when you're dealing with that. I think it's really helped me understand and be a little bit more empathetic. And honestly, the loose skin that I have now, it hasn't really changed. That's a question that I get so much is oh, do you think your loose skin has shrunken? No. This is something that is a very common misconception. And I think now I can confidently say, it's been 12 years plus since I lost the weight. People will say oh, if you just build muscle, it'll go away, or you just have to wait, you just have to give it time. Loose skin is one of those things that, when you have a significant amount of weight, a significant amount of loose skin, like the amount that I have, or, anyone that's going to lose hundreds of pounds, it is something that is going to be there unless you get it surgically removed, right? That is really the only option. There are a lot of things that people will usually try and sell you that, they'll be like, this will get rid of loose skin if you do this thing, or if you put this cream on, or if you roll this thing on your body, or none of those things are going to do any, in my opinion, significant change that a surgery will do. Now, talking about surgery, is that something that I want to do? I don't ever want to say, never say never. I don't want to say I'll never get it. Do I have any plans? Am I in any talks with anyone? No, I have no plans to get surgery. It's not something that I truly, really desire. I've been very lucky in the fact that the loose skin that I do have is relatively low compared to obviously other people that have lost hundreds of pounds. And so the amount that I have to deal with my loose skin and like the amount that I have to deal with it is very low, right? The only real time that it affects me in like a negative way is if I'm doing like going on a run, which I do run like a couple times a week and I have for years now. Or especially when I was doing like CrossFit style workouts, which I don't really do anymore, but when I was doing those types of workouts, it would get in the way as well. But I found ways to combat that, right? So a big thing was wearing compression bottoms and compression tops, which is still something that I do when I go on a run. I wear a compression bottom and a compression top, and it's really not that big of a deal. And for many years, I used to almost always like cover up the compression top as much as I could because I was almost like embarrassed that I had to wear a compression top to run. So I'd wear a compression top and then always have a t-shirt over it. Or if I did wear a tank top over it, I wanted to make sure the tank top covered the compression top as much as possible because I didn't want people to see that I was wearing a compression top, right? Now, I'll just wear the compression top by itself. Going on a run without it is just really not possible. There's just too much flapping going along. So that's not really something that I can do, but I've gotten much, much more comfortable with my loose skin over the years. And I really am glad that I was able to say no to the surgery at that time in my life when I was, I was very young, you're very vulnerable. It's very easy to want to get surgery. I'm glad that I was able to say no to that because I really feel like I have been able to accept myself more now that I haven't had the surgery. And I want to make it clear that I know that I'm saying this stuff. I don't want it to seem like I am being a negative towards surgery or saying that if you get the surgery, that means that you're some sort of failure or you're giving up. This story that I'm telling is about myself. I am not trying to, poke holes in anyone else's story. I'm not trying to tell anyone that they are wrong for getting the surgery or anything like that. I completely 1000% understand wanting to get a loose skin surgery and why someone would want to go down that path because loose skin can be very just annoying, right? But it also can have a lot of genuine health effects, right? You can get a lot of rashes. You can get I've met many people that have had to get loose skin surgery because there was genuine negative health outcomes that were happening just by their skin being there. And then, like I said, there are people that have significantly more loose skin than I have. And so I can't even fathom what it would be like living with that amount of loose skin. And so I just want to make it very clear. I am talking about my journey and I am not trying to, try and subtweet anyone with the things that I'm saying here. I really do think that a couple of ways that I have noticed that I've gotten a lot more comfortable with my skin and having people see it is that, since I've moved to the East Coast, which I don't know how many of you guys know that, but I'm born and raised in San Diego. I moved to the East Coast. I live in Southern Massachusetts about 6 months ago, right? In December is when I moved. I am much more comfortable here at the beach with my shirt off than I ever was back home. And I feel like there's a couple of reasons for that. I think one of the reasons is that San Diego, and this is not me talking bad about California, San Diego. I love I love my city that I lived in my entire life. Seriously, I think it's the best city in the world. So I'm not at all trying to talk bad. I'm just sharing my experience. But I remember going to the beach in San Diego was a much different experience than going to the beach here because I live in a beach town. I live not even 15 minutes from the beach. Depending on traffic, I can be there in 5 minutes, right? I can run to the beach. It's about a mile away from my house, right? But the beaches here are very different. So the beaches in San Diego are more tourist beaches. Obviously San Diego is a much bigger city than the city that I live in now. And so a lot of times I think people go to the beach in San Diego because that is the whole day activity. And it's people are vacationing to San Diego so they can go to the beach, right? And so the people that are on the beach are very fit. You see very, when you walk down the boardwalk in San Diego from Mission Beach to Pacific Beach or whatever, you will see just so many very nice bodies, right? Bodies with six packs, bodies that just look very, very conventionally attractive. It's very, very common. And I think that was always really kind of it messed with my head in the fact that I felt obviously I don't look like those people, so I need to cover up, right? It was just a very different experience. But being here on the East Coast and going to the beach, it's a much different experience here that I really enjoy because here it feels like when people go to the beach, again, because this is not a touristy area, people are going to the beach because it's hot and they want to go to the beach. They want to go in the water. That's why they are there. And the amount of body diversity that I've seen here is so much more than when I was in San Diego. And it's made me a lot more comfortable with like taking my shirt off. And that's something that I used to say all the time, you know, I'm comfortable in my skin, but it's not like I'm walking around the beach with my shirt off. And I really wasn't doing that in San Diego. But here, you know, it's much easier for me to do that. And I feel like that's a testament partly on me becoming more comfortable, but also just realizing that the situation that you're in can really dictate how you feel about something more than I think you realize, because I don't think I even truly realized how much the situation that I was in, again, I'm not saying it was a situation, but it was just different, that I was in San Diego, made me feel about my body versus being where I'm at now and how much more positive I can feel about my body. I believe that this experience that I've had with, you know, just my body over the years, you know, by being, you know, an obese child and obese up until I was, you know, 20 years old, and then losing the weight, and then also dealing with like the loose skin, I really feel like it has given me a very unique perspective on body positivity. And it's why I am the way that I am when I talk about body positivity, because I do believe that there is some genuine good that can come out of it. And I feel like it has helped a lot of people feel more confident in their bodies and in their, you know, skin. And I feel like there can be some real good out of it. And that's why I get frustrated sometimes when I feel like people say like, oh, it's not for you, you're not allowed to be body positive. I think that it can be something that can be very, very good for a lot of people. And it's something that should be encouraged. I don't think anyone should feel like they are less than based on what their body looks like. I think that there's, you know, arguments that can be made about, you know, understanding that the situation that your body's in, it's something that maybe you can kind of change when we're talking about weight. And maybe that's something that could help you feel more confident. But, you know, it doesn't always come down to that. But I really do think that this experience that I've had and the fact that I have lived with this for so long, it really has given me a unique perspective, not in the way that I'm saying it's better than anyone else's, but it is different than I feel like a lot of other people's. And I feel like it has helped me kind of maybe understand things a little bit differently than maybe someone else would. More than anything, the reason that I wanted to make this video was, I mean, one, I haven't really talked about this very much on YouTube in the past few years. I still talk about it quite a bit on like Instagram and other social medias, but as far as YouTube, I haven't really talked about it very much. And I just want it to, you know, to be able to encourage anyone out there that might be trying to lose weight or knows that they have a lot of weight to lose, that's a little worried about loose skin. You know, I don't want to be like idealistic and say, oh, it's completely fine and you won't ever struggle with it. No, like there might be times that you struggle with it. There might be times that it's hard, but I can say for me personally, beyond a shadow of a doubt, having loose skin is something that is much easier for me to deal with than being the size that I was. You know, the amount of negatives that came along with being, you know, basically 400 pounds was pretty overwhelming. And it wasn't just that, but it was how I felt daily, not just mentally, but physically, and the things that I wasn't able to do, the things that I wanted to do that I wasn't able to do, you know, those aren't things that I really worry about anymore. But more than that, you know, the loose skin is not something that I feel like is worth not trying to lose the weight because of. Something that it's a comment that I used to get a lot more, right? People are like, oh my God, I would rather be overweight than have that nasty loose skin, you know? I don't really get those comments very much anymore, which, you know, I'm thankful for, because, you know, no one likes mean comments, but hopefully it's because I think part of it is a lot of my audience has kind of grown up. I don't, you know, when I was younger, I had a younger audience. Now that I'm older, I have a little bit of an older audience, you know? So I think that's kind of part of it. But I just wanted to share this to encourage anyone, to let anyone know that might be, you know, undergoing a massive weight loss that they want to be doing or they currently are doing, that the loose skin is not as bad as it might seem. I think a lot of times it's the fear of the unknown that really scares a lot of people. And, you know, when you are bigger and you've lived your life basically in a bigger body, it's really easy to just be very used to that level of uncomfortability, right? I don't think that's a word, but then when it's like, oh my God, okay, if I want to lose weight, that's already hard. It's difficult. And then why, like once I do lose weight, I'm going to have this thing, and that thing is loose skin, and that loose skin is an unknown. It's not something that I know, and that scares me. I understand that. And I just want to encourage anyone and let you know that the loose skin is not, I think, as bad as it might seem. I think it's just scary because it's unknown. I hope that makes sense. I feel like I kind of rambled in this video, but it's been a while since I really talked about myself and my, the loose skin stuff. And it's just not something that I've mentioned very much. I just, I want to encourage you out there, if you are trying to lose weight, it's not the end of the world. It's something that you can deal with. And if you do want to get surgery, obviously that is an option. There are a lot of barriers for that, but there are plenty of people out there that you can definitely reach out to, look up to, that have had the surgeries, that have documented the entire thing. So, there's plenty of videos for you for that as well. I hope this video helped. If anything, it was nice to kind of get this off my chest and share this because it's something that I wanted to talk about for a while. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.